Of all the beings in Dungeons and Dragons, there are many, many terrifying creatures and entities. There are gods who can mold reality, demons and devils that can sway the tides of wars and kingdoms. Even our own players eventually gain the abilities to manipulate the multiverse on a scale irreversible by gods. And across the planes of existence, there is one domain where they are not the apex. They do not hold the power. They are but a guest if they are even able to enter at all. Now that's scary and all, but where is this place? And who is the absolute unit who runs it? Welcome, dear viewers, to Sigil, the City of Doors and its ultimate powerhouse in absolute control, the Lady of Pain. The multiverse has been around in D&D since 1st edition, but in 2nd edition it was finally given a face. Other names used for them have been Her Dread Majesty, the Bladed Queen, the Lady, which is very creative, or Her Serenity, given for the permanently blank expression on her face. Now, for the pronoun sensitive out there, I am going to be using they/them pronouns because they are categorized as female. However, little is known about this character that even referring to them as lady could be incorrect. Don't like it? Take it up with WotC. They're the folks that decided that the Lady of Pain would be such a mystery. We don't even know what they are. They're described as a godlike entity, but no species or deity status is attributed to them. Nobody knows how old they are, where they came from, how powerful they are, or has even communicated with them and lived to tell the tale. So let's have a little context. Sigil is literally a city at the center of the multiverse. The city is on the inner surface of a wheel perched atop a spire high above the Outlands. Strap your thinking caps on, because this does take a bit to figure out, but I will explain it as quick and easy as I can. The multiverse in D&D is spread out like a great wheel. It's known as the Great Wheel cosmology. Near the center sits the prime material plane. It's where we have our Forgotten Realms, Dragonlance, Greyhawk, Exandria, etc. Our main play worlds, if you get me. Also the Feywild, which is above, and the Shadowfell below. These worlds are surrounded by the ethereal plane, where our souls reside. This is where we get ghosts or wraiths living between life and death, not bound by either. Outside of that, we have the elemental planes, so earth, wind, fire, water. These planes float in what's known as the elemental chaos, binding all these inner planes together as the astral plane, a void that can be travelled from world and world to the next. On the edges of the astral plane is where we have our 16 realities in a ring. From the planes of law, where Mechanus and Arcadia reside, or the planes of chaos, where Limbo, Pandemonium, or the Abyss reside. So if we're thinking three-dimensionally, then Hades or Hell would be down here in the negative plane, and Elysium or Heaven at the peak of the positive plane. These all float above a 17th plane known as the Outland, and at the very center of all of this, between our prime material plane, is Sigil.
Remnants within the rubble of some sort of a sigil of teleportation, but that is no sigil. I'm a sigil, if you will.
Sorry, Sigil. If I haven't explained that well enough, because, yeah, just please consult your DMG. There is full chapter on the planes and the travel between them. I'm sorry that took so long to explain, but because Sigil is known as the City of Doors, you need to know this. Because these doors are portals that open out into different worlds, planes, or across universes. They could simply open by a handle or require specific keys, and not even keys, but requirements such as wearing odd socks on the first day of the week while humming a tune or thinking the Konami code while buttering toast. And they don't even need to be doors. They can be picture frames or barrels, windows, even matchboxes. Almost anything with an opening can be a portal to anywhere else in reality. Sigil is a nexus, the place between everywhere and anywhere. This makes control of such a realm so valuable. Think about it for a second. If you control essentially a port between anywhere in the world where you can collect goods or sell goods, that would make you the richest so-and-so you would ever know. Or if you have an army in one place and you want to attack another behind their lines of defense, there's no better way in existence to do it. Any rare magical components that only grow in one place, boom, you're there. Need to liaise with mind flayers in the Underdark? Boom, you're there. Or move an assassin into a slumbering king's bedroom, or retrieve items from a hoard. You see the endless possibilities of control in this place yet? Sigil itself is just a city. There's no farmlands, no vast bodies of water, no rolling plains of grass, just buildings. The wheel I mentioned isn't technically the correct term for it, but it's hard to describe a torus, which is like a hollowed out donut. The city lies on the inner side of the wheel and it curves up the edges, meaning if you look up, you will see the other side of the city opposite you. Sigil does have a night and day cycle, but when you're in daytime, if you look up, you will see the lights of the city above in dark, kind of like stars in the night sky. So when inside the city, because of the way the sides curve up, you cannot see outside, only the buildings looming above you or the city on the other side. It does have weather ranging from rain to fog or sun, but unfortunately it's not pleasant, as there seems to be a lingering foul-smelling smog that can reduce visibility to 5 feet sometimes. And because someone will ask, what if you go over the edge? Well, it has been done before, except that the person was never heard from again, and nobody knows what happened to them. The city holds up to 250,000 people at any time, 50,000 permanent residents and 200,000 temporary residents. Temporary residents vary from travelling merchants, from adventurers, mercenaries, pilgrims, to accidental residents. And accidental residents are those that stumbled their way through a portal and ended up there. They're lovingly referred to as the clueless by locals, who are also known as the cagers, due to the enclosed nature of the city. As for government, in the city there were 15 separate factions before the faction war. Some of these remain today and act as guards, judges, and even executioners, though none of these factions ever maintained the city. Sigil does have separate wards across the city. The most prominent or upscale of these is the Ladies' Ward. Sigil has an odd defense mechanism. Whereas some cities have natural defenses like cliff edges, large bodies of water, well, Sigil is different. As you get closer to the Sigil from the Outlands, you'll see a massive needle-like spire. If you try to climb it to reach the floating donut in the sky that is Sigil, the climb will go on for eternity. Like, seriously, it cannot be scaled, it just keeps going. And if you try to use a spell like Levitate or Fly, well, in the Outlands, the closer you get to Sigil, the less magic works. This is because as Sigil is the centre of all worlds, it is true neutral. Magic still works in the city, but it is likely only as the Lady of Pain deems it so. So truly the only way to get into Sigil is through one of the many portals, with permission, from what can be described as the most horrifying bouncer in all of creation. Now we get to talk about the Lady of Pain properly. Described as a towering figure of 50 plus feet, covered in robes as well, with floating tendril-like ribbons, hovering 5 or 10 feet off the ground, never speaking, wholly stoic, disappearing at a whim or appearing as quick without notice. Most prominent of their features is their ornate headdress. The Lady of Pain's headdress is made of glimmering blades of different fashion, each more intimidating than the last. And they never speak. Literally, they have never uttered a word. And since they wear a mask, we don't even know if they can crack a smile. They're often accompanied by a group of other floating figures known as dabus. Dabus are humanoid, have white hair, yellow tan skin, and goat-like horns. They speak for the Lady of Pain, though they don't actually speak. They create illusions of images that convey their messages and meanings, kind of like a rebus, and dabus can be seen doing maintenance on the city at times. Back to the Lady of Pain. She roams the city, casting a watchful eye over all. Folks rarely even mention the Lady of Pain, lest they tempt to draw them near. Those who do cross the Lady of Pain, well, their demise ranges from being turned into red mist, their skin flaying from their body, numerous deep slash wounds, or disappearing completely, otherwise known as being mazed. Either the lady will cut you down or shift you into a pocket dimension of an endless maze, unable to die, wandering, lost forever. Pretty brutal. Even standing in her shadow is known to incur such a violent harm. Rarely does it even look like the body moves when inflicting such pain. Little is known about what would draw their ire besides altering the balance of power in Sigil, attempting to eliminate a faction of Sigil or bringing an item of great power into the city. Added to it. One great description of the lady's powers is from A.J. Pickett, when a brawl broke out involving a stone golem near a faction base. The damage was growing and people were dying, then her serenity arrived from nowhere. The screams from a being such as a stone golem that doesn't feel any pain. Folks recounting the event said they couldn't sleep for days as the shrieks kept replaying in their heads. The power required to instill such harm, it's truly unworldly. But not godly. Though the lady rules Sigil and bends it to their whim, they are not a deity. In fact, no god may enter Sigil, though the worship of gods is permitted and divine magic can function. There are protective runes on every portal which stops any god from setting foot on Sigil. These are imbued and monitored by the lady and will immediately be made aware of such a presence. This was only bypassed once, in the adventure module Die Vecna Die. That's twice in the last 2 videos I've mentioned Die Vecna Die. Vecna tricks the demigod I use into transferring his power into Vecna. While this happens, Vecna forces the demiplane of Dread to funnel him into Sigil. Some say the only way he entered was during his ascension ritual. He had not achieved final godhood and so bypassed the runes. The heroes of that adventure managed to weaken Vecna, and the Lady of Pain removed him from Sigil, never to return. And a little highlight of a milestone of lore here. It was this incursion of Sigil that shook the connected planes of existence so much that it heralded the real world change of 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons to 3rd edition. Getting back on track. This has led some to worship and pray to the Lady of Pain as a god, but this tends to end badly as those fools are found skinned, flayed from their bodies, pools of blood surrounding them, and surely a horrific end. It's believed that the god Aesgar met their demise at the hand of the Lady of Pain. Worship of deities is not forbidden on Sigil, as I mentioned. It's just that the gods themselves, which, led to the Temple of Aesgar becoming quite popular, as they were the god of gateways and portals. It said his priests were under his divine order to bring the city under his domain and control. One of the lady's Dabus even converted, began walking rather than hovering, and took a name. Fel. Some even said that the lady was an aspect of Aesgar himself. So Aesgar was found dead floating in the astral sea. The Lady of Pain killed him with but a thought, and his temple destroyed, now known as the Shattered Temple, and home to the Athar faction. So if not a god, then what is the Lady of Pain? Well, legend says that the lady is one of the ancient brethren, entities that existed before any of the gods. These are, to name a few, Asmodeus, Jazarian, the Lady of Pain, and Moxlix. There may be more, but little is known about them. Now the one at the end there, Moxlix, is also known as the Serpent, is a true representation of magic itself. The Serpent is the one who granted such knowledge and power to Vecna to be able to steal the power of a god and become a lich in the first place. So the Ancient Brethren, they are above gods. Info is a little murky around this at first glance, but it is something I want to check out further, so stay tuned maybe. Another little cool thing about Sigil here that I would want to mention now is that, as I've mentioned or name dropped Asmodeus, Sigil does open out onto the abyss and planes of hell, and even to Elysium. And since nobody will cross the Lady of Pain, though rare, you may witness Deva or Planetars amid devils or demons with absolutely no conflict. Another expression of the Lady's power is that Sigil is 5 miles in diameter and 20 miles circumference. But should it need expanded, they have the power to extend the city as required. With all of the power to do the above, some believe that the Lady of Pain created Sigil, and that were the universe and reality ever to come to an end, the lady would be able to reshape it and rebuild it. Others say that the Lady of Pain is trapped in Sigil and charged with being its protector to serve their sentence there. Nobody knows, and likely we never will. The Lady of Pain is the brainchild of David Zeb Cook and his team at TSR. This was during the 2nd edition D&D after Gary Gygax was ousted from the company. Her image began as a doodle by artist Dana Knutson, I think it's Knutson, or Knutson, while Zeb Cook described what he wanted the setting and characters to look like. TSR were publishing quite a lot of material during this time to try and recoup costs, but fortunately it seems that Planescape was granted more development time than most, and as such is far more polished and one of the better products for this era. And to finish up, I want to quote Chris Perkins here. The more you know about the Lady of Pain, the less interesting she is. For DMs, I think that is really important. Don't make the Lady of Pain interact directly with the party. Don't allow the Lady of Pain to ever acknowledge the party at all. If you must have them show up, allow them to be at their full power. Should anyone cross them, they will be flayed or turned to a red mist, or vanish without even the snap of the fingers. This should go especially for the party. Just wholly, brutally dangerous. Now, with that darkness out of the way, the cool little tidbits of information. The Lady of Pain was named from a 19th century poem, Dolores, Notre Dame des Sept Douleurs by Algernon Charles Swinburne. Sorry if I butchered any of that. I would love to recite this poem to you, but it's 440 lines long and tells of a lady much like her own, who is old beyond time, has no compassion, and has killed gods. The Lady of Pain was modelled after Lorraine Williams, head of TSR at the time of Planescape's release. This is the best photo I can find that isn't tiny or of someone completely different who is being cited as Lorraine. And apparently the fact that the Lady of Pain can maze you is an obscure reference to how awkward the TSR building was to navigate. Apparently many an intern or new hire got lost there. The game Planescape Torment features the city of Sigil and the Lady of Pain and gives more, or some, information about the city. It's also from the game that we have the theory that the Lady of Pain is in fact a prisoner within the cage that is Sigil. The Lady of Pain was the logo of the Planescape setting. This is in all publications except for one, being the faction war where you can see the mask with a bleeding eye in the background. Strix, from Dice Camera Action, grew up in Sigil. Her cranium rat Stinky was born there. The 3.5 Planar Handbook describes the Lady of Pain as lawful neutral. The next one will explain itself. From the 2nd edition sourcebook, Sigil and Beyond, quote, "We can excuse the fact that you slaughtered 2 Yugoloths before you realized where you were, outsider. But you pronounced the name of our city Sigil, not Sigil, and there can be no excuse for that." End quote. Bastina Tolan of the Governors. So, rounding up with the recent news from WotC, it looks like Vecna is going to come back and likely make a play for Godhood again. This is set for this summer, 2023. But they have announced that Planescape will be returning in autumn 2023. So who knows if we will get a rematch. Either ways, I'm looking forward to the City of Doors, the new interpretations of this icon of D&D. That is the Lady of Pain. It's sure to be crazy, confusing, and catastrophic. So, have you used the Lady of Pain in your campaigns? Have you ever been to Sigil? Are you a Sigil denier and a proud Sigil user? Let me know below. Thanks for watching, folks. I really do appreciate it. Hope to see you in the next video. And if you want to see some more interesting icons of D&D, check out this video I did on Gary Gygax's own player character, Mordenkainen. Here. Yes? Yes, it is here. Okay. Take care. Bye, folks.